day 182. That is 70% of the chapters in the New Testament, 70% of our 260 challenge. We are 70% of the way to the 31st of December since we have started, and you are still here. You are still with us. You are still reading. Maybe you joined somewhere along the way. It is so cool that we are doing this together, that we are reading the Word, and we only have 30% of the New Testament to go. Colossians chapter 4. Pray. Pray steadfastly. Pray continuously. Pray with thanksgiving. Paul is beginning to end this letter, and he encourages the church in Colossae to pray. And interestingly, I'm encouraged by this. Paul asks for prayer. Paul is dependent on prayer. You and I, as believers, we should never be ashamed to ask for prayer. Perhaps even we should be intentional to ask for prayer. Asking for prayer is a godly trait. He encourages these believers to be aware of how they are perceived by unbelievers, especially around how they speak. The way in which we speak, the way in which we speak should testify to everyone around us that we are followers of Jesus. And then he heads on to the personal greetings as he ends the letter. He's got a whole bunch of people that he mentions here. Part of this is sort of a who's who of the New Testament. There's Onesimus, an important name. Later on, there's going to be a whole book, a whole letter written just around Onesimus's case. There is Mark, the gospel writer, John Mark, who was the cousin of Barnabas. And clearly there'd been a reconciliation. We saw in around Acts chapter 15, there was a fallout between John Mark and Paul. And here they've obviously reconciled later on in life. They've patched up whatever went wrong. And now they are still working together for the gospel. There's Luke, the doctor, the other gospel writer. So we've got Mark and Luke all together here, together with Paul. What an incredibly powerful ministry team. There is Demas, who later on is going to upset Paul very badly. In a letter later on that Paul writes, he's going to not be right kindly around Demas. And then he says to them, guys, I'm writing you this letter. I'm also writing a letter to your sister city, Laodicea, and you guys should read one another's letters. Different scholars have different interpretations and understandings about which letter this was. It is most likely not one of the letters that we still have today. It was a lost epistle, not part of the canon, not part of the holy inspired scriptures, but still I think would have been a good letter, an encouraging letter probably to have read. And that is the end of the letter, Paul's letter to the church in Colossae.